Hello. This is Elizabeth, the Bootcamp Virtual Instructional Design Assistant. Welcome to the second theme assignment. For this assignment, many of you will be asked to complete a case study. Therefore, the Bootcamp Instructional Design team felt that you might benefit from a presentation on how one can successfully analyze a case study. According to the Harvard Business School, a case study presents the greatest challenges confronting companies, including constraints and incomplete information. According to Harvard, the case method places the student in the role of decision-maker. However, in this role, there are no simple solutions. Through the use of case studies, participants can become adept at analyzing issues, exercising judgment, and making difficult decisions. When completing a case analysis, there are 7 steps which you can follow. By following these steps, you will be able to extract the maximum amount of value and learning from this case experience. Before we go through the 7 steps, I wanted to say that it is advisable to first read through the case study quickly, and only after that, should you begin to address the 7 steps I will now present. The first recommended step when doing a case analysis is to define the main issue or issues. When defining the issue, you should consider what appears to be the problem or the problems. It is also important to consider how you know that this is the problem. After you have satisfactorily answered that question, then think about what are the immediate issues that need to be addressed. When you are doing this, you should try to differentiate between the importance and urgency of those issues you have identified. The second step in a case analysis is to analyze the data. When analyzing the available data, think deeply about why or how these issues arose in the first place. Did they arise because of resource issues, people issues, or processes issues, etc.? Then you should consider who is affected most by these issues. What are the constraints and opportunities? And what do the numbers, if you have any, tell you? Please also remember to apply the relevant bootcamp content, tools, and frameworks which were presented in the theme. The third step when making a case analysis is generating alternatives. When generating alternatives, remember to be realistic, and the alternatives considered should be mutually exclusive. Please remember that doing nothing is also an alternative. It is also important to come up with more than one decent alternative. And the alternatives selected should be supported by relevant literature and sources, which you have been presented with in the bootcamp theme content. Most importantly, at this stage, you should take into consideration that the alternatives selected will need to be implemented. What this means is that the ability to implement alternatives is essential for achieving a successful solution. The fourth step in a case analysis is selecting the decision criteria. How one decides which alternatives are best is critical to understand. For example, will the alternative improve, increase, maintain, and fit the organization's strategy? Furthermore, does the organization have the required capability for implementing the necessary actions? And what are the perceived risks, the ease of implementing alternatives, and likely speed of implementing these alternatives? In addition to these issues, one needs to address employee issues and challenges, the flexibility of the organization as a whole, and the eventual impact of any decisions made, etc. At this stage, it is also essential to define in detail the criteria used for making choices and decisions. And one should refer also to the bootcamp content. Finally, when selecting the decision criteria, you should consider the importance of that selection, and the overall impact it will have on the organization. The fifth step when doing a case analysis involves analyzing and evaluating the alternative solutions. To do this properly, one must define metrics for measuring the selected alternatives against key decision criteria. By doing this, one can then compare the alternatives to established criteria, and one is also able to rank in terms of significance the alternatives selected. At this stage, it also helps to list the advantages and disadvantages of the alternatives being considered. Furthermore, one should also consider the implications of each alternative. By implications, we mean considering likely outcomes, such as best, worst, or most likely. The sixth step in the case analysis involves selecting the preferred alternative or alternatives. When doing this, you should be clear about what process of decision-making you have employed. When selecting the preferred alternative, it is also important to consider if that preferred alternative really resolves the problem. In addition, you need to be very clear about the argument and logic which supports the selection made. This is important because when reporting to senior management, they may wish to know how and why you arrived at the decision made. The final, and most important step when making a case analysis is defining the required action, and how the organization will successfully implement that action. As we all learned in the change management drill, implementing change is one of the most difficult challenges faced by all managers. Therefore, implementation needs to be forever on your mind when doing a case study. At the end of the case analysis, one should also include a short summary. This summary will draw conclusions on what has been decided, why, and how a resolution to the problem will be successfully achieved. I hope that now you have a better understanding of the 7 steps required to make a case analysis, and I wish you the best of luck on this theme's assignment. Goodbye for now, enjoy the assignment, and we will talk again soon.